Hey there, everybody. Let me double check my levels here. Okay. Right, so today's stream is going to be a little bit new, a little bit different. Hello, everyone. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Chris. This is Wizard Way. Today, I'm actually going to be working on some cross stitch. So I have a, gosh, you can't even see it because of my white balance. I have a pattern that I have picked up that is Lord of the Rings based, so very on brand, but I thought it would be interesting to try and do some cross stitch on stream using my overhead cam and using a screen capture so that you guys can see the pattern that I'm using on my phone. So this is highly experimental. I have not done this before. And if anyone finds me over on Twitch, it'll be a frickin' miracle, because I am using a new community tag, which is the crafting and makers and crafting tab, I believe. So this is new, and I thought I would just give it a go. So we're gonna mess a little bit with the music here so we can have something more than my normal amethystium background. So I'm gonna turn that off really quickly, and hopefully this will work. Okay, so there should be music in the background. I did test this prior, but you never know. You never know when things are going to go horribly, horribly wrong on Twitch/YouTube. So hopefully that is audible and not completely overwhelming. But this is going to be a relatively chill stream. I do have my normal microphone set up, and I do have my binaural microphone set up, the one with the ears, if you are unfamiliar. I do have this microphone set up. It's not currently putting out any sound, but if we get into a state where we want to just relax a little bit and I stop talking, then I can always switch things up and turn that on so you can hear all of the stitching sounds. So again, this stream is going to be a little experimental. I'm not sure if I'll be talking a lot, chatting, or if I'm just going to, you know, keep the music and give you guys some of the background noise with the stitching sounds. So definitely let me know in chat if you are enjoying this sort of thing, and we will go from there. But happy Thursday, everybody. It's time for what I'm hoping will become a weekly Stitch and Mitch kind of stream. So let's switch up the camera a little bit. I am hoping that this works the way I want it to. Alright, so what you were looking at right here is my pattern. So this is what we're working with. You can see it is quite a large design. But I decided to start at the bottom left-hand corner. And these black squares that you can see on my screen are 10 by 10. So that is a 10 by 10 stitch. So that is a 100 stitches per square there. And then as we zoom more in, you can see the individual stitches. So ones that I have completed are these solid colors here that you can see. And the ones that I have not completed have their stitch symbols. So when I'm looking at the pattern, I have little bags of floss that have DMC thread numbers, which indicate what color they are, and then the pattern has, in this case, these are letter O, and so you can see those are all highlighted green, so those are the stitches that I'm going to be working on. I can always switch that up though. If I wanted to switch to a different color, I have programmed this in. So you can see the color palette on the little bars on the left-hand side there. You can see what colors we're working with. It's a very blue-hued, warm tone blue and sandy colors. So I can choose whatever color I want, but in my case I'm going to stick with the O's, because this part of the pattern in the lower left-hand corner is a lot of the same, like 3 or 4 colors. So we're going to be messing with those for probably the entire stream. I don't see myself moving on to anything more significant. But that's why it's a chill stream. You guys get to enjoy that. Just something simple. But as you can see, I've already done... I decided to break it down into the first three... the first 30 stitches. You can see the count at the bottom of the screen. So I did the first 30 and worked my way up. And so that... the point where you can see I stopped stitching, which I'll put it right at the top of the screen there, right there. That part where I stopped stitching basically ends up being at the top. Oops. At the top here. So that's as much space as I had. So as you can see, like that looks like a lot of stitches, but it's not that many because I'm using what's called 18 count fabric. This is not a kit that I bought. I basically got a pattern, and I put it into this program that helps digitize it for me, but this is not a pattern, or not a kit. I went and I bought the fabric, I did a blanket stitch across the top to keep everything from fraying, and I went out and I purchased all of the DMC threads myself. It was quite a project. Honestly, probably cost about double what a kit would have cost. Though with how big this pattern is, and with it being on 18 count instead of your typical 14 count fabric, which means there are more squares per square inch, more stitches per square inch. So because of that, because I chose to do a 18 count, I'm not going to be using as much thread, question mark, if I'm thinking about that correctly. So not as much thread, but welcome and thank you Hafwin for asking questions. I'm I wouldn't say that I'm new to cross stitch because I have been doing this for years on and off. My grandmother taught me. She actually gave me my little stork scissors, so. Aren't they cute? I love them. I love them so much. So, my grandma gave me the scissors, and oh yeah, the prepping was a lot of work. like you don't even know. So here are all my threads. Because organization is key. So, as you can see, there are a lot of different thread types in this particular pattern, and it's going to be big. Even though it's 18 count fabric, this is going to end up being, I think, 15 by 22. So, I mean, like, you can see all of the fabric that I've folded over several times to just keep it out of my way. But, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Yeah, the prepping was a lot of work, but I like having things really organized, so I didn't mind it. But I organized all the threads and I did them by palette, if that makes sense. So I have like the really bright blues, and then I did the gray toned hues. And then we have like the warm sandy colors. So yeah, I really organized things in a way that makes sense to my brain. So warm tones, cool tones, all that jazz. And all that jazz. So where am I now? Let's switch this. Of course it doesn't work with me. There it is. So I do have an overhead cam here to try and show you guys where I'm at. It is a terrible quality camera, I admit, so forgive me. I will hopefully be fixing that very soon. I do want to get a proper overhead cam. Right now I'm just using what amounts to a screen capture. I'm using my phone. So it's my phone camera being transmitted into my computer. It's not the best. It's not the best setup. But it's a very big canvas, so yeah, I totally feel that. All right, we should be good to go. So yeah, as you can see, if that is the entire pattern, you can see how very little at the bottom I've actually done there. But in real life, I mean, I have small hands, but even so. And that was, I want to say, about 8 days, a few hours a day, but 8 days of work. So that brings me, where am I? I'm 2.68% in. This is gonna take a while. Totally worth it, but it's gonna take a while. So there's a lot to do. But right now I just ran out of thread, so I need to cut some more and string it on and we'll get started. But yeah, if you have any questions about the pattern that I'm doing, actually, before we get started, let me show off what the pattern actually looks like. So there's the mock-up. I'm excited. So this is called Go West. The original artist is Jian Guo, also known as, oh, what was it? I had it up. Let me look. I had it up in another window. Yeah, of course I don't have it up anymore. Go figure. It's fine. But it's something about breath or breathe? It's a DeviantArt. I didn't realize when I purchased the pattern that it was lifted from somebody else's art. Normally I would not purchase something like that. I would contact the original artist directly and ask permission to adapt their piece of artwork into a cross-stitch pattern for myself. I would do the work for myself, basically, and only if I had permission. So when I bought the pattern, I didn't realize that was the case, which is why I want to give credit to the original artist, because they do such beautiful, like, stained glass style artwork for Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and just, I'm in love. So I definitely want to give credit where credit is due. The artwork is amazing. So Jian Guo, thank you for the amazing art. And we're gonna try and make it into a piece. So that's what the pattern looks like when it will be completed, at least. Oops. No, cancel. Press the wrong button, delete the entire thing. I would cry. I would cry if I did that. Alright. So we're gonna zoom in here. What I'm trying to do is do this entire green highlighted area. So you can see I'm sort of working my way up, and then I'll go back to the bottom again and do this lower piece here. Working my way from left to right, because I'm right-handed. So that's what we're going to be concentrating on. Typically I like to keep about 30 stitches on the screen. But as we get to that upper portion of the green, and it spreads more this direction, I will be including all of those ones that aren't in the normal 30 that I like to show. So yeah, that keeps everything organized for me. And let's start with the thread. So like I said, this will be a pretty chill stream. I'm not going to take myself too seriously. This is not my Elvish ASMR stream, which was also experimental. Because I am that geek who learned to speak Elvish in high school, and now I teach people on the internet. So if you don't know who I am TikTok's resident Elf-boi. I wouldn't say I'm like a hugely prominent figure on TikTok, because I'm not, but most of my friends have like over 500,000 followers. Me, I just passed 40k, which is still great. The algorithm doesn't tend to promote ladies, so even though I am queer, my stuff doesn't get promoted quite as much as my friends. even though we all started around the same time on TikTok. But some things go viral and other things don't, and that's just the way it goes. I'm really not complaining. I'm thrilled to have the community that I have. Okay, here we go. I never quite figured out like a good technique to pulling thread apart. Mine always likes to spin up onto itself over and over again. Come on, work with me. Of course it doesn't want to. I always make such a mess with my thread. Honestly, that's probably just lack of practice. It's been a while since I've done a big cross-stitch project. I tend to be one of the people who starts things that they don't finish. I'm determined, though. I'm determined because I just moved into my new place, and I get to decorate it myself. Which means I chose this pattern specifically because it's the same color palette as my bedroom, which you can't really tell because of the way my camera makes it look way more yellow behind me than it actually is. Okay, I also do have a nice threading tool. This helps because all of my needles tend to be very small. So this way I can put, if you guys can see it, actually you can see it better like that. So I thread the needle onto the tool, and then from there you have a much bigger target. Alright, so easy peasy. Work smarter, not harder, right? So when I cut my thread, I tend to cut it in 6 lengths. That's how I term it, at least. Because the skeins come sort of pre-looped over themselves, so I tend to take the skein as it is linked and I do 6 lengths. So down, up, down, up, down, up, and then I cut it. This keeps it relatively standard when I'm determining how long of a piece I'm going to use. If I go much longer than that, it tends to just get tangled way too much. Okay, so that's where we want to go first. I might be moving this over a bit. This is actually my first time trying to do cross-stitch on camera, so forgive me if things are messy. How do we want to do this? Let's go up through here. So I'm just going to secure my thread. This is easier said than done sometimes. And you can see I keep things relatively clean on the back end. Relatively. What did I say about getting string everywhere? I'll set that aside in a moment. Yeah, I really do try. I really do try. It's far from perfect. I certainly did. Oh, come on, really? We're gonna knot immediately? How? Why? How dare? Ooh, she's stubborn. Okay, that's good though. Okay, there we go. So what line am I on? Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Okay, so we'll be going 19 stitches, skip 1, and then 3. 19 stitches, skip 1, then 3. So because there's just an awful lot, this is like a wall of a single color, this is going to be relatively boring to watch. But opportunity for everyone else to just relax, I guess. And if you're a person who enjoys Stitch ASMR, I can definitely turn on my other mic and let you enjoy the stitching sounds. If you want me to shut up, let me know. And if you have any questions about Lord of the Rings, I'm your person. That's totally what I do. So feel free to ask. Ah, nice, you've got your knitting going? I never learned how to knit. It is not a skill I possess. I did learn how to macrame and crochet at one point. I could probably still macrame if I tried. But crochet, nah. I don't have any needles anymore. I feel like I need to move my camera over a tad. Let me muss with stuff a little bit. Whoa, whoa, not that much. Calm down. Okay. Cool. Cool. Just messing with things till I get comfy. This is a new setup for me, so. But I am a bonkers big Lord of the Rings fan. So if you've ever had any questions about Lord of the Rings, like, why didn't they just take the eagles to Mordor? Which is a very common question I get. Why didn't Tom Bombadil just take the ring? I can totally answer those weird questions. There we go. It's a little bit better. I'm gonna try and keep good posture while doing this. How about that? It'll be a miracle if it works. Gosh, it's not bad when I'm showing illustrations, but this overhead cam is definitely needing an upgrade. I do have another webcam that I can try and mount up there, so I think I'll give that a try before my next stream. My next stream will be on Saturday, which is typically my Silmarillion Saturdays. I have been reading the Silmarillion aloud and providing a bunch of commentary and helping people connect it to potential plots and themes that are going to be in the new Lord of the Rings TV show. AKA The Rings of Power, which is coming out on Amazon Prime on September 2nd. Very excited for the show. And a bunch of purists are already getting their panties in a twist out over it. I refuse to judge the show until I've seen it. There's only so much you're going to get to see in promotional material, you know? And I just don't think it's worth my energy to bash on a show when I haven't even seen it. But I will give my honest opinions when it goes live. But plenty of people are already angry because, oh no, they made an elf black. And I'm like, come on, like, relax. Elves can be black. Elves can be any freaking color we want, regardless of how Tolkien wrote them. What was it? Skip one. Gosh, sometimes finding the holes on this tiny fabric is difficult. That's what I get for using 18 count fabric. Like, I have limited spoons to begin with, you know? That's the way I'm thinking about it. If you're unfamiliar with that terminology, spoons being a theoretical measurement for energy for people who are chronically ill. My chronic illness, my autoimmune disease, is not debilitating, thank goodness. But my partner, who is now deceased, had several autoimmune things going on, and she definitely was what we call a spoonie. There were certain days that just getting up to go to the bathroom was literally all she could do. So from that point of view, I'm doing really well. I'm super lucky. I'll take my aches and pains. Every so often I check the back because I don't trust things yet. I don't trust it. I keep thinking, oh, something must be knotted in the back because the string is getting shorter. It's just that I'm forgetting about it until I'm several stitches forward, and suddenly it feels a lot shorter. Oh, I felt that one though. There we go. Every so often I feel like I have to spin the needle, like spin it. Take some of the twist out of the string so it stops knotting on itself so easily. But thanks for being my craft buddy today. Thank you for being here, Hafwin. Oh, you're also a huge Tolkien fan. Well, hey, you and I have got along just fine. Oh, really? Back in the 90s. Been rereading the books alongside to listening to the Prancing Pony podcast. Nice! It's one of the podcasts I have not been on. Ooh, you're catching up on Lord of the Rings. Super cool. Yeah, I just finished the Silmarillion for my live streams. Because my expertise is primarily about the elves and the Ainur. The Ainur being the heavenly creatures of Tolkien's world. So all of that stuff that they talk about in the Council of Elrond, that stuff makes perfect sense to me. I know Elvish history better than I know human history. It's kind of sad. If there had been elves in human history, like in real world history, like I guarantee you I would have learned it a lot more. My hyper-focus would have kicked in and I'd have been fine. History was not my forte. I did better in world history than I did in US history, though. Because the world, at large, is way more fascinating than just the United States. Ah, the podcasts are nice. Cool. I haven't been into podcasts, and I think it's just because I'm like, I already have so many pulls on my time that I feel like if I add something more, it's gonna overwhelm me, which is probably not true, but that's sort of enough to keep the inertia. It's enough to keep me from starting it. Okay, we've started the next line. What's the next bit of the pattern here? Okay, 14, then skip 2. 3, 1, 3. Okay. It's another thing I did in prep. You can totally tell from my fabric here is I gridded my fabric. I just use a typical old school #2 pencil. Sharpened that baby up, and I marked out every 10 stitches. So that it matches the screen, right? It makes things visually so much easier to follow along with. Like, I have not badly screwed up any stitches yet. Knock on wood. Haven't made any huge mistakes yet. Whereas normally I would have at least made one at this point. Because we're how many stitches in? 2,800? 2,800 stitches in, so almost 3,000 stitches in. And I haven't made any major mistake that I've needed to go back and, like, I think they call it frogging, where you have to frog out a bunch of stitches. Just pull a bunch of stitches. And unfortunately with 18 count fabric, this is my first time working on 18 count. On 18 count fabric, if you make a mistake, trying to unstitch things will typically break the thread. Like, the thread it has so little room to move around that the abrasion of trying to undo your stitches is typically enough to just break the thread. So you end up having to just discard all of the thread. And it's a mess. I got to a point where I had to unstitch, I think, 4 stitches. Oh no, 4 stitches! But even just doing that broke my thread on this pattern. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that's not good. Noted. Duly noted. Alright, so we've got the 14, skip 2. And then 3, 1, 3. I'm very much a visual learner, but saying things aloud helps them solidify in my brain. That's why I'm going to be repeating my stitch counts, so I don't mess it up. Oh, that is a good point. Listening to them while I cross-stitch. I've been putting things on Netflix, so I mean, I've been doing the same thing. But there's a difference between the programs that I put on when I'm cross-stitching and the programs that I, like, actually want to watch. So, like, earlier today I did a tiny bit of stitching. Actually, no, it wasn't today, it was yesterday. Yesterday I did some stitching. And I put on She-Ra. Because I'm queer. Duh. But I put on She-Ra because I haven't seen it. But it's something that animated voices are so easy to follow because they're overacted to a certain point, right? They're melodramatic. So it's easy to follow the plot line without necessarily looking up all the time. So I've been watching She-Ra and Battlestar Galactica, which I had seen, I think, 2 seasons of, like, way back when. Actually, probably not even 2 seasons. I think I only saw the first season. Way back when. But my dad had it on Blu-ray and was gonna get rid of it, and I was like, dude, you're gonna throw away? Literally throw away? He had the box set of the entire series. I'm like, dude, at least sell it. My god. My dad's of that generation, though. He's of a very privileged generation. And he's, you know, he came from wealthy middle class. Like, upper middle class, I think, was my dad's upbringing. So as such, he's always just like, yeah, I'm gonna donate it, or yeah, I'm gonna toss it. It's because he's never needed to sell his own shit for money. I'm a millennial. I've had to sell so much of my stuff for money. You know, things that I took time to collect and really, you know, had emotional attachment to. I had to sell them to, you know, pay rent. To pay off debts, you know. Different generation, man. So I took those Blu-rays. This is, you know, long roundabout way of saying I took those Blu-ray discs. Thanks, Dad. I'm like, how dare you? But I haven't seen it, so that's what I've been watching. Oh, you do say the same thing in knitting. It's called frogging when you have to take stitches out. I was laughing because this is the first time I've had an actual program. You know, like I have this program on my phone now that keeps track of all my stitches and all the colors and makes it so much harder to screw it up, which is great. But it's my first time using a program like this. So I'm used to having the papers spread out everywhere, and I had never heard the term frogging until I got this app. Because if I, as an example, if you look at the screen, if I, oh right, I need to switch it to the highlighter. If I mess something up, you can see there's that string now of purple, and the button at the bottom turns into a frog. And I was like, frog? Like, what's with the frog? And I had to look it up, and that's when I found out about the term. And I'm just like, what? What planet have I been living on that I'd never heard of frogging? Okay, and really quickly I'm gonna turn off... Oh my goodness. Just turning that off really quickly because I just realized my robot vacuum decided to start cleaning the house. I'm the one who programmed him to do that, but not now. I'm streaming. Not now. I named him Namo, who's the Lord of Mandos. Come on. Communicate. Like, go back to the dock. Go to dock. There we go. Heard him in the back. Doo 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 doo. Such a smart vacuum. Good boy. Okay. There we go. No, Namo, no. Not now, Namo. I named him Namo, though, because my Wi-Fi is the Hall of Mandos. And he's also placed in the one hallway in my place. You would think the halls of Mandos would be quiet. But I named him Namo not only because of the location, but because he is my quote-unquote grim sweeper. Hardy har har. Such a terrible pun. I was like, grim sweeper. Because Namo is basically the Grim Reaper of Tolkien's world. I thought it was a multi-level pun, and it made sense to me. Alright, next line, what we got? Straight across. All the way over. after I finish this line, I'll fill in the stitches that we've done. It's always really satisfying to do that. That's like the best part. I love the sense of accomplishment of like checking things off the to-do list and stuff like that. Oh, come on, don't be like that. Part of me is glad that I'm using such a tiny needle, and another part of me hates it. Because it catches so easily on the thread, and I feel like that adds to how frequently my thread breaks. That or I just don't have a soft enough touch. It wouldn't be the first time someone said that. And I know that sounded vaguely sexual, but no, I meant from a massage therapist's point of view. That was my day job before the pandemic hit. Massage therapy. I'm going to switch the camera up a little bit. I don't feel like we need to look at the pattern the entire time. So let's do this one. Oh. Amethystine loop off. There we go. Just making sure the chrome sound is still working. I think we're good. Y'all can still hear me. Okay, cool. I was messing with my settings before going live, so I wouldn't have been surprised if something got messed up along the way. Nama's mad. Tired of sucking up souls in my hallway. Sucking up the dust bunnies. Cleaning up my messes. It's my fault everything's so dirty. Well, I'm glad he's a robot vacuum. Because he can't kill me in my sleep. Unless he decided to just, spontaneously combust and start a house fire. Which I don't think Namo is the arson type. I don't think. I could be wrong. Who wants to make the argument that Namo is a pyro? Namo the pyro. I really don't think he would be. If anyone would be a pyro, it would be Aule. Because he's the god of the forge, and of inventing and crafting and all the things. And someone on my TikTok recently made the argument that, because I had a very harsh opinion of Aule, and I say had, past tense, because someone in my comments, when I made a video bashing on Aule, I was pretty harsh about it too. They were like, I always saw Aule as autistic. And I was like my little neurotypical brain exploded. Because that makes perfect sense. Because Aule does not have great interpersonal skills. He can't pick up on other people's body language. He hyper-focuses. Finds it hard to see things from other people's perspectives. He's super blunt to the point of sounding super rude or mean. But the thought that he's autistic, where he's not wired to be any other way. So it seems off-putting from, people like me's perspective. But it's just how he is. It made perfect sense to me. And so I made a follow-up video on my TikTok being like, I'm not afraid to say it, you guys changed my mind. You guys completely revolutionized my view of Aule. I still think if he had been more aware, and if he had a support structure in place to help him with the bodily and societal things that he had shortcomings with. That Sauron and Saruman both wouldn't have gone bad. I still think he's partially to blame. But ultimately, you know, the ones who chose to go bad are the ones who chose to go bad. It's their fault, ultimately. But I think perceived neglect, I'll put it that way, perceived neglect from Aule contributed a lot to the seduction of Sauron, or as he was previously called, Myron. The seduction of Myron to the dark side, to Melkor's side. The perceived rejection and neglect from Aule contributed to that. Oh, I just remembered something. Oh, see, this is why I'm not good at social media. I forgot to post up on Discord that I was going live. Oh, crud. I'm like, what is my... I think it's... That didn't work. Oh well. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Cool. I'm like, oh yeah, remember the whole advertising that you're live thing. I did the math on this particular pattern. There are 106,800 stitches total. It's a lot. Because it is 400 by almost 270. It's just under 270. So 106 plus 1,000 stitches to be done. And in a few hours I can get, if I'm not distracted, maybe like 400 stitches done. If I average that, almost as many steps to Mordor. You're not wrong. I could do that math. Actually, yeah, fuck it. Let's do that math. Let's do math. How many paces in a mile? There are about 2,000 steps in a mile. Average person with a stride length of 2.1 to 2.5 feet. So it takes over 2,000 steps to walk 1 mile. 10,000 steps would be almost 5 miles. Okay, So we'll say 2,000 steps and then we'll add a little bit. So 2,000 steps, like 2,000, times the 1,700 miles, I believe. 1,700 miles? Not quite. That's 3.4 million steps. It's a lot of steps. So not that many. But let's see, it's about 150 miles from the Shire to Rivendell. It's 300,000. So yeah, more steps. More steps than stitches. I wish that actually worked. That would be hilarious to me. But no, unfortunately no. It's a funny thought though. Even Rivendell is like 3 times as many steps as we have stitches. Maybe Moria. Moria might work. Because Moria is about 40 miles? I think Moria is about 40 miles. Yeah, we could traverse Moria. We could go through the mines of Moria, with each stitch being a step. It's gonna be a long, dark path. There's more dangerous things than orcs in the deep places of the world. And they call it a mine. A mine! So yeah, that's probably pretty accurate, actually. Okay, we finished the line. Yay, we finished a line! Oh, there we go. What I also love about this program is it will only highlight, or it will only call, stitches done that are highlighted. So even if my thumb goes all over the place, I can't screw it up. Yeah! 65 stitches done. Booyah! Progress, right? Alright, next. What do we do next? We got 17, skip 2, and then 4. And then we'll do that upper bit that sort of skews off there. Because efficiency. Better snacks at Rivendell. Truth. I don't buy the whole weird Hobbit Peter Jackson thing of the elves being vegetarian. As funny as that is to juxtapose them against the dwarves, it is completely inaccurate. Hunting is a well-known and respected pastime amongst the elves, as they are established in the Silmarillion. Like, hunting is totally a thing that elves do. There would be no use to do that, and they wouldn't do it, I don't think, for just sport. They would absolutely honor their kills and use every bit of them possible. Don't you just hate it when you can't find the hole? Ba-dum-psh. I did really think it was weird, though, the whole, elves being vegetarian. Funny moment between them and the dwarves, but still, completely inaccurate. Who gave that the thumbs up? and I have that same reaction to a lot of things that are in the Hobbit films, so don't get me started. I'm gonna shut up before I get all heated and shit. I have opinions when it comes to the Hobbit films. Suffice it to say, I think they are hot garbage, but still worth it for the entertainment value. You can support adaptations for the sake of encouraging more adaptations in the future, without actually caring for the adaptation. I do not care for the Peter Jackson Hobbit adaptation. I love his Lord of the Rings adaptations, and I recognize that those aren't completely true to the original plot and shit, but at least the decisions there made sense. Oops. I went too far, didn't I? I did. Dang. Okay, well, I caught myself quickly. That's good. Gotta unstitch one. There we go. Okay, now skip 2 and 4. Yeah. I did recently purchase the extended edition of the Battle of Five Armies, though, because I haven't seen the extended one, which is a travesty considering Thranduil is in that last movie quite a bit, and if there's even one extended scene of Thranduil, it's worth watching. I simp hard for that man. Not afraid to say it. Okay, so I'm going to start skewing upwards now in the pattern to basically do these. So all of this bit here. So I'm going to hit those now. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to jump up to that next section because we'll hit that when I get here. That's where I'll jump over. Okay. Just trying to keep it all straight. Or, you know, as straight as it can be from a queer person, right? Nothing about this stream is straight. Talking about simping for Thranduil. I'm not wearing that shirt today, but I do have a shirt that I designed that says Thran Daddy. Honestly, one of my better designs, too. I took some time with that one. Okay, we got 2. 1 over 2, 1 over 2. Oh yeah, Lee Pace. I also appreciate Lee Pace simply because he has the same chaotic Aries energy that I have. My favorite ASMR streamer also has that same chaotic Aries energy. So, like, I feel like in small doses, I feel like we're so similar we probably wouldn't get along in real life, but like, they're really relatable to me. Super relatable. Okay, and then we go down into the 6. 2 straight down. Come on, brain. We have skip 1. And then the other side of the other color. Cool, cool. So when I get to sections like this where there are things sort of out of the way, I will find the point of closest contact to the mainland, if you will, And then I will do one stitch of the entire pattern, so I'll go down one way and then follow it back to where I started again with the other direction of stitch. So I'll cross one way and then stitch the other. Tends to save me space overall. It's another reason the back of my pattern looks so clean. I don't tend to waste a lot of thread doing big jumps. Now that my thread is getting shorter, it's going a lot faster. Though I am starting to feel it in my fingers. My gripping fingers here are starting to get a little numb. Need to move them around a bit. I'm also not super militant when it comes to cross stitch, which direction I do the stitching. So like, I mean, I make sure that I go bottom left to upper right and then bottom right to upper left, right? I do that. But I don't mind if that first stitch is bottom right to upper left or upper left to bottom right. Either way works fine for me. I haven't noticed any truly perceivable difference in the pattern. My technique seems to be pretty uniform no matter which way I do it. So as such, that gives me a little bit more freedom in how to tackle the pattern. My grams was pretty militant of not doing it the way I do it. Because me, my mathematics brain, my physics brain kicks in and it's just like, well, this is inefficient. I'm like, I could do this much faster and with less strain if I just followed the pattern as it curves around or takes me into a certain area instead of, you know, stitching things and then making jumps unless it's more than 5 stitches away, because that leaves you with a lot of 2 and 3 square jumps. That's a lot of wasted thread. So my way avoids that as much as possible. I try and make jumps only once instead of doing it both directions. Which is why even on the pattern that's on the screen currently, you can see on that bottom portion, the area that I've already done versus the slightly separated bit that's off to the right. Or off to the right, sorry. I keep forgetting my camera is not mirrored. I viewed that lower portion that's to the right as a separate branch, if you will. So I'm following this branch from the trunk of the tree, which would be the bottom line, out to the very tips, which you can see are that flared bit at the top of the page. So I'm just following this branch all the way to the top. And once I get there, I'll go back down to the other branch and start again. Fingers going to sleep a little bit. This is why we stretch, right? This is why we're supposed to actually stretch ourselves out, right? Like an athlete, because crafting is serious business. Ooh, nice pops though. First pop too. Nice. Alright, all of those are done. 96 stitches. Sweet. Alright, so then we have 2 lines that go all the way over to 18. Cool. Easy peasy. Like I said, there's just an awful lot of a single color here. Like, I mean, heck, that square in the middle, that square of 100, it's like 96 out of those 100 stitches are all this color. Because there's only 4 cues. Probably going to run out of thread. Maybe not at the end of this line, but maybe during the next one. I'm wanting to get through. I think I'll keep going until I run out of the thread that I cut. Which, since each piece of thread has is made up of 6 smaller pieces of thread. Every time I cut something, I end up with 3 lengths. 3 lengths to use. I'm choosing to do this with a double thread rather than a single. Just because this pattern seems more like a full coverage pattern to me. Like, I don't want to see the cloth underneath every stitch. But because this pattern was obviously adapted from a piece of art, it means there are no half stitches. There's no back stitching. None of those details. So, in lieu of that, if I wanted to get super fancy, I would go back through the pattern and maybe make the sort of water / ground that they're walking on, make that half stitches. What I do plan on doing is, let me zoom out here, go back to the mock-up. So, you can see that sort of wind, the mist that's in the trees there. I bought some shiny threads. So what I'm gonna do is primarily mix one shiny thread with one normal thread, so it'll sparkle a little bit. So the mist is gonna be a little sparkly. All of the little white leaves on the trees, I'm gonna use just metallic thread for those. And then all these little golden pieces, like the banner standard is gold. Little bits of jewelry are gold, and like they have turquoise jewels on them. All of those I bought metallic thread for. So the gold will actually be gold, the turquoise will be like a shiny bright blue. But if I had wanted to really get fancy, I would have taken this lower section here, where it looks like the trees are coming out of water, and I would have made that partially shiny, or made it half stitches. Half stitches, probably. So, I had the option of doing that, but I didn't do it. It really is gonna look nice. I put some thought into it, because I was like, there's no rules! Because it's not a kit, there's no rules. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Okay. Probably finish this line and then tie it off. Start the next thread. So you said that you were knitting, correct? If you don't mind taking a second, tell me in chat, what are you knitting? Like, obviously you're seeing everything I'm working on, but what are you working on? I want to know. I want to know, my lovely. A bandana cowl. I know what a cowl is. But a bandana cowl. So is it like a multifunction thing? I'm like, I know what a cowl is, and I know what a bandana is, but I've never seen a bandana cowl. But again, I don't knit, so... I cross-stitch. We don't make actual clothing. Closest we get is making tree skirts. Okay, triangular neck scarf. Gotcha. What color scheme? Here I am stealing you from your work. I'm like, what color scheme? Give me details. I want the deets. Multicolored, green, blue, brown, and pops of yellow and red. Nice. Green, blue, and brown. Just pops of those warm hues. That must be really pretty. That's the cool thing about knitting, especially, is you can buy custom yarn from people. Which I think is super cool. Because custom yarn, like, there's one person who keeps popping up on my FYP on TikTok, which is the For You page if you're not on that platform. It's the endless scroll. TikTok's algorithm puts an endless scroll of shit in front of you. And one thing that they've been putting in front of me has been this one person who has a crank with one of those really raspy things to spool yarn, and she puts a bunch of loose fiber onto it as she spins it, and it makes this custom mixed thing of the fiber, which I assume you then put through a spinning wheel and spin it into actual yarn. But like, it's so relaxing to watch. It is so relaxing to just watch them put together a color palette for this custom batch of fiber. That's so relaxing to watch. I love it. Alright, let's tie this off. Where do we want to go? We'll go here. So far as I've been doing this pattern, I have broken one needle. Broke it outright. And I have stabbed myself really badly once. I stabbed myself with the fat end of the needle. Not the pointy end, but the part where you thread it. I stabbed that really hard into my pointer finger when I was trying to push it through and... Oh, hi kitten. Nope, Alana. Kitten bit. One of my cats is here to enjoy the show. Hi. This is my kitten bit. What are you doing? She's like, you're talking to no one again. you are going to completely nail my shirt. I'm going to be all fuzzy now. Yeah, so this is Alana. No, no, no. Other way, please. Other way. Off the desk. Thank you. She is a dilute tortie. She's got some of that tortitude. So dilute torties, normal torties are like a black and bright orange. Dilute torties are gray and like a creamsicle orange. So that's what she is. Huh, kitten bit. She's like, screw you, I'm going for the food. She left me for the food bowl. I'm okay with that. That's a vibe. So, me too. I leave people for food all the time. I'd rather be eating. Which is why I am much larger than I appear. It's all camera angles. I'm lying to you. Oh my gosh, why? Every time. Thread hates me. There we go, jeez. Alright. So that's the final of 3. And here's number 2. I'm feeling lazy, so I'm just going to use my threader. This threader is really cool. It even has a light on it. Isn't that neat? It's got a light on it. So in case you find it hard to see your needle. Freaking cool. Who's going to be stitching in the dark, though? Like, would not recommend. 10 out of 10 would not recommend trying to do cross-stitch in the dark. But hey, I mean, if you're like cross-stitching in front of a campfire, I guess. Like, there's light, but it's not the right kind of light to thread a needle by. Yeah, this thing comes in handy. Again, when I went to the store, I got this. I got my frame here, my PVC frame to keep my pattern stretched. It's better than the other frames that I've been using in the past. Because my other frames have all been, oh, you know the types. The ones that are like metal and it's a circle, but you have to like scrunch it and the metal ring goes into a plastic ring. But in the process, it typically deforms your fabric. Makes some stitches all smushed together and other ones get really spread out. This doesn't do that, which is nice. Because it just has, you know, the gentle curve. So it doesn't mess things up as badly. Okay, instead of putting it underneath other threads, I'm just going to stitch over top of myself on this one. So, get it to about there. The long string. Yeah, I kind of like these scroll-like ones. I do feel like I should have gotten some extenders so I would have a larger workspace. But at the same time, I don't want too much more weight because I have weak wrists. Because, you know, legit though, I don't have very strong wrists anymore. Too many years doing massage therapy, my joints are messed up. So I don't want anything that's super heavy. What is this random thread doing out here? Did I pull that through by accident?
Dang it. God damn it, Kathleen.
Yeah, pulled through. Darn it. I can't fix that. Oh no, it went back through. Thank goodness. Okay. Yeah, none of that, please. If we can help it. I always get so many more tangles when I'm first putting a thread in. Let's do that quickly so I don't forget. There we go. Tiny bit of fuzz. You can't even see it. But I can see it. Perfection. It's fine. Hey, thank you for turning in, lane person. Welcome. Are the weak wrists why I stopped being a massage therapist? No, it's just sort of a consequence. I stopped being a massage therapist because the pandemic hit and I didn't feel safe doing my job. Because as you can imagine, us massage therapists, we get all up in people's bodies. And especially near people's faces and heads. Like, it's just part of the job. So I'm like, unless y'all are giving me hazard pay, I'm not doing this during the middle of a pandemic. Because especially down in Florida, which is where I used to live, everyone wanted to get things back to normal as quickly as possible, to the point of not really listening to medical professionals. So the owner of my spa, she closed our place down, but the moment they allowed massage places to be open again, she wanted to open. And I was like, girl, have you even looked at the case numbers in our area? It is not safe. But also, being forced to take several weeks off showed me just how bad my body had gotten after 15 years of doing massage. And it was pretty bad. So it was sort of a wake-up call. The pandemic was my wake-up call of, wow, my body's kind of wrecked. So I'm still pretty young, but my body's wrecked from all of that. My back is terrible, but I had back surgery at 29, so I mean, I'm predisposed to having bad back stuff. But my hands and wrists are kind of messed up. I don't have the best ankles either, though that's more from previous injuries. I messed myself up with gymnastics when I was younger. Gymnastics and figure skating, those were my two sports. I did a lot of dancing too. I miss dancing. I'm trying to get back into it, but oh boy, my body does not like me trying. Work in progress. I need to get a little more in shape though. Not only because I want my endurance to be a bit better. I want my endurance and strength and flexibility to be a little bit better than it is now. But also, I want to drop a bit of weight before I get top surgery, because that's going to happen eventually. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris. I am a trans boy. Meaning I was assigned female at birth and I'm genderqueer. I'm non-binary. So, while not all non-binary people feel the need to transition in any way, shape, or form, I don't feel the need to do hormonal replacement therapy. But my chest is the cause of a lot of dysphoria for me, so I do plan on eventually getting that taken care of. That's why we save up money forever. I do currently have enough money saved up to do it, but I don't feel ready yet. And luckily, the area that I am currently living in has a plastic surgeon who is specifically trained to do non-binary top surgeries, so hell yeah to that. Because plastic surgeons all know how to do breast augmentation, right? Like breast augmentation, breast reduction, all that stuff is pretty standard for plastic surgeons. But specifically working with non-binary trans folk, it's harder to find a specialist who does that. Because my ideal chest might not be the same as someone who's a binary trans person, someone who's going female to male and really wants that masculine, specific chest shape. For non-binary folks, we all have different levels of dysphoria and different specific things that are dysphoric. And so having a surgeon who can really chat and discuss things so that we end up with a finished product that makes us feel great about ourselves is super, super important. So that's eventually going to happen. Probably if I give myself time to lose weight, which is a slow process because I'm not willing to do anything super drastic. Like, I'll exercise and I'll change some of my eating habits, but I'm not going to heavily restrict like some people do. Some stuff I already do but it's bad food habits. Does that make sense? Like, it depends on the day. If I get into my routine early enough in the day, I will have breakfast and do the thing. But if I don't wake up by a certain time, or I know I have a lot on my to-do list for the day, I might hyper-focus and completely forget about meals. So then I end up with like a one-meal day. And then several snacks until it's late at night. So, bad eating habits, but it tends to overall end up being a caloric deficit there. But it's not a healthy habit, so trying to not reinforce the bad habits. Because that sort of stuff's going to mess with my metabolism. Okay, what's the next line? Oh, sweet. 2, skip 1. And then 2 past the end. Okay. Yeah, food is just so good. I am trying to broaden my palate a little bit. And I say that with reservation because I have a condition called dyshydrotic eczema. And I'm not sure if that's part of it, because dyshydrotic eczema is a autoimmune eczema. So my skin is attacking itself. But it tends to result in having these flares of what look like little tiny pinprick blisters. But they cluster. And they are super freaking itchy. Like, oh my god, so itchy. And they remain itchy until they scab over, which is a process. So typically really heavy, crazy, itchy sensation for like a week until it scabs over. And then it just sort of works itself out. But if I get a couple of those tiny little pinprick blisters, I know that a flare is coming, and that entire area will typically cluster into a big old mess of blisters. It's terrible. But I bring that up, sorry if I gross anybody out, but I bring that up because I am really, really sensitive to irritants, which means spicy food. So, unfortunately, I end up being a huge wimp when it comes to spice. Like, huge wimp. Like, normal, mild salsa verde is still spicy to me. It's so depressing. I can't have cayenne in anything. I made a curry recently. First time I've ever had curry. And it was delicious. But the recipe called for like half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And I was like, oh hell no. I don't even own cayenne pepper. Because it's so spicy to me. I can't do it. It burns. It burns so bad. And basically, the more I put my body in that weird state of overstimulation from spicy food, the more likely it is that I'm going to have a flare of my eczema. It's terrible. So, with reservation, I'm trying to expand my palate. I just can't do it in the spicy food era, area of cuisine. Sad but true. I would get made fun of because I was such a wimp with spice. And now I'm starting to think it's probably part of my autoimmune disorder. Because nobody knows why dyshydrotic eczema happens. Nobody knows why it happens. So, because it's autoimmune, nobody knows. Ooh. I'm a wimp. I went to an Indian restaurant. Just your typical Indian food. And I know butter chicken tends to be like pretty low on the spice level in general compared to other Indian food, which uses all sorts of wonderful spices, and not all of the spices are spicy. You know what I mean? So I went to this restaurant, and they were like, well, what spice level do you want your butter chicken? And I'm like, the lowest you have, and if you think that that's like super mild, make it even more mild. I am talking 0 spice. They gave it to me, and it burned my freaking mouth off. So like, their version of 0 spice was still so spicy to me that I couldn't eat it. I had to throw it away. I was so sad because it smelled so good, but even smelling it felt like it was burning my nostrils. And I'm just like, how on earth is this no spice to them? So either someone was fucking with me because I am a little white kid, right? Obviously. So either someone was messing with me, or I really am just that sensitive. And what they at that restaurant felt was non-spicy was just off the charts for me. So our two views on spice level did not at all meet. Hi, Gray. I hear you. Are you coming up? Do you want to? Hold on a sec. Oh, Gray? Here he comes. Let's see if it'll transition. There it is. Oh, don't look at me like that. Gray? You gonna come on up? He doesn't want to. Sorry about the double music there for a second. Gray? Well, the cat bed is here if you want to come up. Yeah, you coming? Good boy, there he is. There's my handsome boy. So you saw Alana earlier, my dilute tortie. This is Gray. Hi, sweet boy. Hi, fuzzy boy. You are shedding so much. Oh, and here he goes. I know I invited you up, but I didn't mean to invite you all the way up, sir. Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Hi. Come here. It's okay. Come here.
Oh, and there goes the mic.
Oh, listen to that purr, though.
He's got the best purr. He doesn't like to be held, though. Too bad.
Yeah, look at those pretty green eyes. Oh, yeah. That's my good boy. I love you, Gray.
Oh, and yeah. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Good boy. And now you get cat butt.
Cat butt.
Sorry, is that offensive? Sorry, Gray.
I love you. You're a sweetheart.
Oh man, the fur is flying. You can see it. Oh my gosh.
So much fur, Gray. You're a sweet boy, though.
He's a good boy. He's a good Gray. Back to the women. There we go.
Good boy, Gray. You should lie down.
I'm gonna start working again. He's looking at me like, excuse you, you called me here. You called me here. Oh shoot. Sorry again about the double music. It's because typically I have a background track that's looped and it just goes. Alright. I'm like, where was I? He's a sweet boy. I love my Gray. I've taken some truly beautiful pictures of him. He sort of has resting bitch face. He doesn't normally photograph well, but every so often you'll get just that perfect shot of him in the sunbeams. And in certain light, just his eyes are this bright chartreuse green. Gorgeous.
I don't know where you got your eyes, Gray, but they're really pretty.
He's just purring up at me. You're a sweetheart. One of these days I'm going to get a proper cat bed in my setup here. And then we'll have a cat cam. Just have a camera pointed at the bed. If I were streaming super regularly, I think my cats would like to be close like that. I haven't gotten a schedule down yet, though. I'm working on it. Trying to balance the cross stitch and my elvish ASMR, plus my reading streams. So there's a lot going on. But we keep it simple. Keep it simple. I'm also still working on the back end too, as far as doing extra stuff to make my stream sparkle. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. I have some layers and filters that I want to add in that'll be triggered by not channel points, because I'm not an affiliate on Twitch anymore, which means there are no channel points. There are no channel points. There's no subscriptions, there's no channel points, there's no ads. I mean, that's a good part, right? There's no ads for you guys. You don't have to worry about that. But, yeah. Okay, where was I going? Back to here. Alright. Nice. We just broke 151 stitches. And next line is all the way over to one further than the previous line. And we double that, 2 lines of that. Pretty monotonous part of the pattern, but that's okay. I'll be longing for the simplicity of these stitches when I get to the part where I'm switching thread colors like every 5 stitches. Because as you can see, there are a lot of colors. It's a lot of colors. So many colors. I mean, gosh, how many are there? Like 55? About 55 colors. So I'm definitely going to get to a point where I'm making such frequent changes in color that it's going to drive me bonkers. Woo, 150. It's best to watch from YouTube. I am simul-streaming on YouTube and Twitch. I do that just because I know a lot of Twitch streamers, and so if they raid me, which is lovely of them, just on the off chance they raid, they aren't able to do that cross-platform. So if they raid, that's still great for me, but then they would have to switch platforms over to YouTube. So if you're going to follow me from anywhere, please follow me from YouTube. That's where I need the minutes watched. So if you're watching and you plan on chilling for a while, definitely head over to YouTube. Same quality, but the minutes watched there actually do me some good. I'm trying to get to the point where I qualify for AdSense again. I used to have it, and then I neglected my channel for like 2 years. So I lost AdSense. Now I have to get my numbers back up again. Thank you, Hofwen. Thank you. That's super sweet. I appreciate you. It's the same handle everywhere, so if you're looking for me, it's Wizardboy Chris. Gosh, I wish I could extend this out just a little bit more. But now that I've called gray here, I can't move my chair over any further. So I'll just do this then. We'll go at an angle. Gosh, it's 8 p.m. already. Time goes so quickly. Time flies when I'm doing cross stitch, I swear. And it feels like you get so little done. Like seriously, 150 stitches in how long? How long have I been live? Almost 2 hours. If I do 400 stitches a day, I did the math. If I do 400 stitches a day, it will still take me between 7 and 8 months to complete this piece. Like, good lord. YouTube gang, woo! Thank you for supporting me on YouTube. That's how I put into perspective just how large this piece is. Because we've done just over 3,000 stitches total, and we're still not 3%. This is still, like, under 3%. I'm trying to hit 3% today. Whether I do that on screen or in my private time off screen. I'm gonna do it. Determination. Now, if only I had this much determination when it came to exercise, right? If only. If only my motivation were the same. But exercise hurts. And cross-stitch doesn't. I need to switch up my exercise methods, though. My mom had this series of DVDs, and she was like, do you want them? And I was like, well, they're dance, so sure. It's like workout dance routines. I pick up choreography really quickly because of my background with sports and stuff, and just taking so many dance classes. So I pick up choreo, not too terribly, but my body can't keep up. It's like, I know this is easy choreography, and yet. Oh, Kelly, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate you. Dankeschön. There we go, getting in the rhythm. I wonder how much faster other people are when they're doing these sorts of streams as far as like pacing goes. I wonder like how many stitches do they do in a single stream? I'd be curious to know. Because honestly, I've never really tuned into anybody else doing a craft stream that's specifically cross-stitch. You're not good at it, but you don't care. Yeah, basically, same. In general, I mean, my thing is I'm unconsciously comparing myself to me 10 years ago, right? That's my downfall. I get competitive with myself, and I just, that sad realization that my body isn't what it used to be. That the last 10 years have really broken my body down quite a bit. I'm still pretty flexible. Like, I can still go down into the splits, which I know most people can't boast of when they're my age. And yet, I can't do things as bouncy as I used to, for lack of a better word. Really struggling with the bounciness. Because again, it's all knees and ankles, right? Knees, ankles, and then if it's stuff that you're doing on hands and feet, my wrists are shot, so All those really mean things that you see people doing in planche position. That push-up position. People doing like walking planche. Hell no. It's a little bit easier if I ball my hands into fists and I walk on my knuckles. But even then, like, can't win for losing. I wouldn't mind getting into yoga. And I'm sure there's tons of it in my area. I'm relatively new where I live. But, my sister and her wife, we share a home, basically. So our house is a standalone house in the burbs, right? But it has been converted into a duplex. So I have my own unit, and they have their own unit. But they've been in this area for years. In fact, my sister was here for probably about a decade, and then she moved elsewhere, and then she came back, and she was here for years again, so... They definitely know the area and could point me in the right direction if I wanted to find some yoga. I think having it scheduled would probably help me with motivation, because especially if I'm paying for a class, I will absolutely show up if I'm paying. But having that community, an actual class of strangers, so like they don't care. They don't care about what I look like. Everybody's there for the same reason of just, mental and physical wellness. It's probably a good space to be in. Otherwise, it's just me in my living room. Which, it is what it is. It's not bad, but there's no sense of community when it's just you by yourself, following videos. But yeah, I definitely need something that's a little bit less... I need something low impact. It's less high impact. It's like I'm already messing with some of the dance moves to make them a bit more friendly to my joints. I miss hoop dancing too. I want to get back into that. Hoop dancing, aka, it's hula hooping, but with larger, more weighted hoops. So you can actually dance around. I know a lot of tricks. It's a great core workout. So I want to get back into that too. I still have a couple of my hoops. They need to be re-taped though. The taping is pretty gnarly. If you're a beginner, don't sign up for flow yoga. Even if it's advertised as beginner, it's difficult. Oh, it's super fast. Yeah, that would definitely not do well for me. I don't mind things that are more on like the meditative side of yoga, where it's about breathing and core strength and flexibility. So it's a nice balance between flexibility and strength. Like, I did well at Tai Chi when I took Tai Chi. But I think it's because it's slightly more spiritual. Whereas, dance routines that you take on the internet, they don't tend to have that sort of spiritual tilt. I think it puts me in a different mindset when I'm focusing on that sort of meditative state rather than keep the energy up because bouncy dance music. It's a different vibe. 42 stitches onto our total. Getting close to 200. All right. And next line goes all the way out to beyond. Okay. Close to doubling over. Yeah, if y'all are curious about the other stuff that I get up to other than the crafting bits, I think my bot just put up my link tree. There is an embedded link on my link tree that goes to a song that I helped translate into Elvish. It's not me singing, thank God. I can sing fairly, but not as well as this lady does. But in case you like Dungeons & Dragons and that sort of stuff, if you like D&D, Cami Cat is an artist who makes up original songs for their D&D campaigns, which is super cool. I think they have about just under 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Hell yeah, Cami. But they contacted me to translate a song into Elvish so that they could perform it, and I did that. So there is a link in the link tree to that video. It's not a perfect translation. I'm sure any actual linguistic scholar of Tolkien's languages would rip me a new one, but I do my best. I do my best. Every translation is a challenge. A challenge that I relish. I also do a lot of translations for people's tattoos. So Tolkien's Elvish is totally my passion. And every time I do a translation, I am honoring my departed partner, because she is the one who taught me Elvish back when I was in high school, long before we met each other. We were an internet connection that then became a real-life connection. Oh, nice. Thank you. Volino l'aero el turel. It was so much fun going back and forth with Cami Cat to make sure that she got the pronunciation right. I was a bit of a stickler. She did a great job, though. Now, are you guys completely new to me, or have you followed me elsewhere before? Like, did you guys just find me? Is this a freak accident for you? Because if you're familiar with me, if you happen to be from TikTok or something, then hopefully you guys have heard of Don Marsha72. He is the quote-unquote obscure Lord of the Rings facts guy on TikTok. He's one of my friends. He is running a D&D campaign of sorts that is the hypothetical, why didn't they just take the eagles to Mordor? So, their party of 2 elves and 1 dwarf is answering that exact question the hard way. Basically, the premise is they did try to take the eagles to Mordor, but Gwaihir, the Lord of the Eagles... Ah, okay. Gwaihir, who's the Lord of the Eagles in The Lord of the Rings, decides to take the ring for himself. He kills the entire fellowship and becomes the evil bird overlord of Middle-earth. So on that premise, is it then a, well fuck, what do we do next? kind of campaign. So they have to find a new way to destroy the Ring of Power. Because now the eagles are evil. It is fascinating and hilarious. He consulted with me very briefly on a couple points of the plot when he was first developing it. He was like, am I absolutely batshit crazy for trying this? I'm like, no. I'm like, you should absolutely do this. And it's great. It's so much fun. There are 3 episodes out already. Highly recommend. It's called The Unpredicted Party. So I'm sure if you search on YouTube for The Unpredicted Party, it will pop up. He's done a great job. Yeah, Evil Eagle Dark Lord. It's so kick-ass. I've been enjoying it so much. And I know they're probably filming like week 9 or 10 at this point, but even so. Okay. There we go. Yeah, 216. Booyah. Oh, we passed 200 stitches, yes. 2.88%. Dang it. Come on. It takes so much to get a single percent done. Alright, so here we have 6, skip 2, and then out. Okay. Oh, my cat left. I'm gonna move over now. It's fine. It's fine. I'll make it easier on the camera, though. Yes, the ring can corrupt practically anybody, given enough time. But the more powerful a being is already, typically the easier they are to corrupt. But one thing you really have to understand about the very nature of the Ring of Power, the One Ring, is that Sauron programmed it, if you will, to have an innate sense of self-preservation. Like, the ring has a will of its own, and it will do absolutely everything within its power to keep itself from destruction. It's impossible to throw into the fire. When Gandalf in the movie says, you know, when he's talking to Pippin in Minas Tirith, and he says, you know, when Pippin says to Gandalf, he's like, you know, what are the chances? Like, is there really a chance for Frodo and Sam? And Gandalf responds, there never was much of a chance. There never was much hope. Only a fool's hope. He's absolutely accurate. Oh, and I lost track of my stitches. Whoops. Gonna have to unstitch a bit. My bad. I went like 4 stitches beyond, or I should have. Oops. It's fine. Don't mind me. Getting all passionate about Lord of the Rings. See what you guys do to me? Damn it. There we go. We're fine. Everything's fine. This is fine. Skip 2. There we go. You didn't see anything. Fixed. Moving on. But the ring has a sense of self-preservation. It is nearly impossible for anybody to throw the ring into the fire. Even Sauron himself, if he wanted to unmake the ring, he programmed it to have such sway over somebody trying to destroy it that they wouldn't destroy it, that they would choose to keep it for themselves. So it's completely understandable that Frodo has his moment where he says, "No, the ring is mine." So it's absolutely within the realm of possibility that if the Eagles took the ring and were like, "Yeah, we're going to destroy it," they wouldn't be able to. It would corrupt them too. They're not exceptions to the rule. I could talk all day about Sauron, though. What a great character. Hashtag simping for Sauron. I need to make merch. I need to make merch of simping for Sauron. Not only because he was sexy in the Second Age, because he quote-unquote put on a fair form in the Second Age, and deceived the elves. That's how the Rings of Power came into being. They were made by the elves. Specifically Celebrimbor. Bug. Why is there a bug in my house? These tiny little ones, like, where do they come from? I guess they sneak in the middle of the day when I'm just going out the front door or something. I see you. I see you. I don't want to smash it against my work, though, because it'll leave a stain. Little bug smear on my cross-stitch. Probably going to finish this line and then move on to the third strand. Or third thread, rather. I really hope he shows up in the Rings of Power, too. Oh man, I hope so much. Sauron will be a very tightly kept secret, though. I guarantee you. Because so much hinges on that particular casting choice. People are already upset over the actor that they chose to play Celebrimbor. And part of me doesn't blame them, because Celebrimbor should not look any older than Galadriel. They are approximately the same age. Because both of them were born before the exile of the Noldor from Valinor. With that in mind, they're about the same age. At least physical appearance, they would look about the same. But they cast Celebrimbor far older than Galadriel. Galadriel looks like she's in her late 20s. Celebrimbor looks late 40s. Though that is me judging just based on the pictures of the actors. That doesn't take into account makeup and costuming. So, makeup, wig, costuming. So we shall see. We shall see. I still have faith. But people are like, oh, Celebrimbor should be sexier. And I'm like, we haven't seen him in character yet. Let's wait until we see him in character. And that's going under the assumption that all older people aren't sexy. And I'm like, that's a stupid assumption to make. So even though he is being played by an older actor, I still have hope. And honestly, I don't care. I don't care if he's played by an older actor. If they include a non-straight relationship between Celebrimbor and Anatar being Sauron, that's the name he goes by in the Second Age. If they put a relationship there, which I think is subtext, if they put that in there, I'm gonna be so freaking happy. It's one of my favorite pairings. Favorite pairings in the entire fandom is Celebrimbor and Anatar, aka silver gifting, or in some cases, silver fisting. That's the relationship name. Okay. Let's see. No, I think that'll be pushing it. We'll stop there for this string. See, doing this right here where I'm pushing it under the other threads, that's how I pierced my finger really badly before. I'm trying to be extra careful now. Okay. Okay. On to the final thread. I shouldn't have put it down there. I can't pick up the needle. There we go. Oh man. Fail. There we go. As with the last time, I'm just going to stitch over myself here. It's so awkward when you switch to a new thread and it's so long compared to before. See, already getting caught on stuff. Gotta be careful on these first couple of stitches. You're actively not looking at much of it before it releases. Yeah, that's not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. I totally support that decision. I think too many people are just making a ton of assumptions that aren't really safe to make yet. Let me jump. Hold on a second, I'm gonna get a drink. So I have not been paying attention to my bot that tells me to drink water every 30 minutes. Whoops. And let's fill these in. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. My bad. There we go. And this is the line where I planned on skipping over to there. To these stitches. Right in the center there. So we'll hit all of those little stitches too, once we get to the end. Perfect timing though, since we just started a new strand. We've got plenty of string to make those jumps. Yeah, I have a feeling we'll hit 300 stitches for the day. We'll at least get close. So if any of you are familiar with Lord of the Rings and the lore of the Second Age, is there anything specific that you're looking forward to, that you hope is included in the show? Not necessarily that you think will be included, but something that you hope is included. I sort of already went in my answer to that question, which is, I want the relationship between Celebrimbor and Anatar to be complex. I just want it to be complex. Even if it's not sexual, I want it to be complex, where you can tell that Celebrimbor is freaking smitten. If we manage that, I will be a happy camper. If people are already bitching about woke culture and how dare that infringe on Tolkien's world, we might as well toss a non-straight relationship in there, because Celebrimbor would be bi or pan, because canonically he had a thing for Galadriel, but obviously that didn't go anywhere because Galadriel was married the entire time. Though we don't really talk about elves being monogamous. We know that they only tend to have children with one person, and that children have to be intentional, meaning there are no accidental pregnancies, which to me says that polyamorous elves, could totally be a thing. They probably just have a bit of a hierarchy structure to their relationships, so there's a primary relationship, etc., etc. So Celebrimbor is not straight. And honestly, I think Anatar would use seduction as a tool. He would absolutely, like, if it served his purpose, he would absolutely seduce Celebrimbor. If he thought he could get what he wanted by doing that, he would 100% do it. Nothing specific, flashbacks to the first stage? Oh man, I hope so. I mean, we did at least get that one image, the promotional image that they first released that had the 2 trees in it. So, pretty sure that's gonna happen, but I don't know how extensively they're gonna do that. Word had it they were, pardon me. Word had it they were going to make the first 2 episodes like a Silmarillion refresher, if you will. So if that's the case, then we probably will have a lot of flashbacks in those first 2 episodes. I have no guarantee that's what they're doing, but that was the rumor. That the first 2 episodes shared a director and a specific strategic purpose to catch people up and set the stage. Right, how many? 4? 4. But down on the second. Okay. Okay, we got... Making that jump there. And so that one's further out. I'm just going to complete that stitch and then move on to the others. Down one diagonal. Just looking forward to seeing more female characters. Yeah, no fucking kidding. I do like that we've seen so many female characters in the promotional material. That is so exciting to me. This is so very exciting. I don't know if that was a good move. Womp womp. Let's undo that. I just came from here. Okay. Cool. I got my stitching pattern mixed up in my brain. Catching on the corner. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Disa, the gorgeous black woman, black female elf, or not elf, dwarf. Like, I don't mind variance in skin tone at all. Very few characters in my head are, like, sacrosanct. Like, characters that you cannot make darker skinned because they are explicitly stated to be pale. But those characters are few and far between. Luthien Tenuviel is one of them. Galadriel is one of them. Because these are characters who are explicitly stated to be very, very pale-skinned. So I'm not bothered at all by melanin being in the mix. What I do sort of mind, which seems so petty, and I mean, I'm totally letting it go, I don't care that much, but why did they not put her in a beard? Why did they not make her bearded? Unless there was like some traumatic smelting accident as a child or something, I don't know. Which made it sound like Goldmember, Austin Powers. But it's like, was there a reason that they chose to not make her bearded? And was it just because bearded women equals unattractive stereotype? Because shame on them. That woman is gorgeous, and you could absolutely give her some scruff and she would still look freaking amazing. So I don't understand the lack of beard for Disa. But I do understand they're going for broad appeal, but I think that I don't know. It's like that was a detail that didn't need to change. I really don't feel it needed to change. Personal opinion. Ultimately, I don't care, but like, what an odd hill to die on. Either way, what an odd hill to die on. But Tolkien did state explicitly that dwarves are bearded, men and women alike are bearded. If The Witcher can put in a female bearded dwarf, then what the hell is Amazon's problem? What's their excuse? Especially when they have such a beautiful actress to play her. She'd kill it. She'd totally rock it. You think they were just scared? Yeah, the optics. I would rather take a beardless female dwarf than no female dwarves at all. So if that's the choice that had to be made, I'm glad to have her. And I'm curious what they're going to do with all of these original characters, because primarily it looks like these plots are going to be fanfiction, basically, which I don't mind. Having been a fanfiction author, and having had fanfiction transition into original fiction in my own writing career, such as it was, I don't mind the concept of fanfiction. I just think that there's good fanfiction and bad fanfiction. Some of it is subjective, absolutely, but some of it is objective. There is objectively bad fanfiction out there. And then subjectively, there's a lot of bad fanfic out there too. Subjectively, Peter Jackson's The Hobbit movies were bad fanfiction. That is my opinion, that is a hill I will die on. It's bad fanfic. He/they, because I know it's Philippa and Fran as well, who were writing some of the script and such. They fell into so many fandom tropes that are just so tired at this point. Like Thranduil being a bad father. Like, there's absolutely no basis for that in canon. Especially given how treasured children are to their parents amongst the elves. Because there are no accidental pregnancies. It means that every child was willed into being by the elves. It's a very personal thing for them. And so even if you don't have top quality relationship with every single child you produce, there would never be that level of animosity between Thranduil and his kids. Unless one of his kids, like, actively killed their mother or something, like, on purpose. Like, Kinsley style. So certain things like that really bothered me. Tolkien later changed his mind on the beards on dwarf women. I'd have to look it up. It's probably somewhere in the letters, which I have not read. I will openly say I have not read all of the letters. where are we? Okay, I did all these. Okay, 4, skip 1, 1, skip 1. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, there's the 4. Skip and then 1. Skip and then...
And then...
all the way out to the end. Okay. But I'm also tiffy when it comes to the Hobbit movies. I'm also tiffy at the whole love triangle that they forced Tauriel into. I wasn't thrilled with Tauriel's character, but honestly the only thing I wasn't thrilled about her character was the love triangle thing. I would not have been nearly as angry if they just hadn't forced that on the character. Because she was a female elf, yay for that, and a female elf who was a warrior. She's like Captain of the Guard style badass. I'm all for that. If you're going to create a character, let it be to be a badass. Instead of, well, it's too much of a guy's movie, so we need to force some romance onto one of the attractive characters. I think that was a terrible, terrible thing that the executives of the company forced. Evangeline Lilly was livid because she had signed up for the role on the understanding that they would not force her into a romantic triangle, and they did exactly that. And I get on people for naming her Tauriel too, because it just means forest girl. Literally means daughter of forest. And I'm like, that is a really lame name. But on the same token, like, let's be real. Tolkien named things very self-explanatorily. Tolkien absolutely did the same thing. Lindir. Lindir means song guy. It means musician, and that is his entire role within The Lord of the Rings. He is a musician in Rivendell. That is all. Anatar, giver of gifts, because he thought he was literally God's gift. Aule, the inventor god. His name means inventor. Vaire, she is literally the weaver. She weaves tapestries of the history of Middle-earth within Mandos halls. The name Vaire just means weaver. So, I mean, Tolkien did this too, and so I might get on them for giving her what I view as just such a basic bitch name. But Tolkien is absolutely guilty of that too. And of the various names that they could have done using Tauriel is the most attractive of them. Because the others would have been Taurwen, which is a bit awkward, and Taurien with an N instead of an L. So of those three, I think Tauriel is the nicest sounding. Yeah, he made them sound good, yeah. That and just... Tree Girl doesn't give you any insight into her character. Whereas, you know, Giver of Gifts, it's the name that Sauron gave himself, it tells you something about Sauron's character. Not only because, giver of gifts, he's there because he's supposedly giving gifts to the elves of knowledge and skill, right? But also that he had the arrogance to name himself that. He gave himself that name. That tells you something about his character. They didn't put that kind of depth of thought into the creation of Tauriel's character. Or if they had, it got left on the cutting room floor. Which makes me sad. But Evangeline Lilly was pretty. She did a great job. For what she was given, she did a great job. And I know that people who enjoy the movies more than I do really connected with her character, and that's great. Which is why it might not be to my taste, but I will never completely shit on The Hobbit films. It kept the franchise going after several years of nothing, right? And that's how I view the Amazon TV show. It's revitalizing the fandom, even if it's bringing out a lot of racist assholes from the woodwork and gatekeepers. More adaptations is always a good thing. Even if we end up not liking them, at least it means this book in this world is still fascinating enough for a big company to spend money on. I don't want companies to stop making Tolkien content. So even if I end up not liking the show, I will still give credit where it's due and move on. What is next? 2, 1, and then outward to 20. Gosh, this is the first time I've just listened to lo-fi music as I craft. Because like I said, I'm usually watching TV and stuff, which you can't do while streaming. Not unless we did an actual watch party on Twitch, since Twitch is owned by Amazon. But I don't know what I would want to put in and, not actually watch. Because too much time I'm spending at, looking at the canvas. Or, cloth, whatever. You know what I mean. You hand sewed the other day for the first time in years. Oh wow, good job. Just sewing some missing buttons, back onto clothes that you had specifically set out to get needles and thread. Because you didn't own any. I was lucky. I still had a couple packs of needles from literally 2 decades ago when my grams got them for me. She got me my stork scissors. She got me a couple little packets of needles. And we started a couple different patterns. Neither of which I have finished. One of them is a cat in a bird feed box. Just a little tiger kitty curled up in a bird feeder. And surrounded by cardinals that are going, dude, what the fuck? Dude, Why is this cat just chilling in our food? But I still have that one and I haven't finished it yet. One of these days. One of these days. And then another one was a very large, ornate fairy that I started and just never finished. There were so many colors. So many. And it was a very, very large piece because I chose to do it on... I mean, it's fabric, so it's not... It's probably what you would call like a 28 count fabric. So it's a 28 count fabric, but I chose to stitch it like a 14 count. So everything's really big, and it meant that the finished piece was going to be gigantic. So it took a lot of thread, took a lot of patience, there were a gazillion colors, and I fell off the bandwagon on that one. How many am I skipping? Just one. Okay. So I'm hoping that this project will be one that I stick with. That's why I'm trying to do it while I'm streaming, because I think that scheduling at least, one time per week where I spend several hours doing this will get me into the habit enough that I continue until I actually finish the piece. I really want this to be a piece that I finish. Especially because it's in the right color scheme for my bedroom. I'll actually get it framed and actually put it up on my wall. Whereas, the cat in the bird feed box is cute, but, I'm not gonna hang it in my house. And the fairy is gonna be so big, honestly, I just wouldn't put it anywhere at this point. So I might officially abandon those. They've been sitting in my closet for ages. But that's where I still had the needles from, so I mean, at least it came in handy. Yeah, the kitty one is super cute. And the fairy one is gorgeous. It ended up being so big. If I had been wise, I would have done it single string 28 count. I should have done that. Oddly though, I mean that pattern, I think they wanted you to do it either 18 or 14 count, maybe 16. So even though it was going to end up being big, they wanted you to do it that way because there were different symbols for double thread and single thread. So specifically, you were supposed to double thread most of it. And then the single thread areas are where the fairy wings, because it's a sleeping fairy in front of what is supposed to be the moon. And so this sleeping fairy, the wings are lit up, they're backlit. And so where the moon is behind the fairy wings, the colors completely change, and you can see all the threading in the, what would be the veining inside the wings. So the colors are lighter and more transparent, and they have you use single threads for that area instead of double thread. So you can see some of the background fabric. It's a great effect. Looks fantastic, but again, just ends up being such a huge piece. Okay. skip 2. There, all the way out to beyond. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna mark off my stitches. Come on, give it to me. It really doesn't want to give me that stitch. Come on. There we go. My goodness. It's probably my screen protector. Yes! 321 stitches so far. Booyah! And we'll definitely finish this line. We might get one more line out, but that's a lot of stitches. So we'll see. Step by step, little by little, move a little closer to me. Step by step. Gosh, what was that? Alan Parsons Project? Pretty sure. That dates me. I loved that Eye in the Sky album. I used to listen to that all the time with my sister. There's a song called Mamma Gamma. It's a completely instrumental piece. My sister and I would make up like all of these stories to happen during the course of that song. Most of it was typically like a thief on the run, being chased, being like shot at with arrows and stuff. And at one point he gets hit by an arrow and the music swells and it's like, ah. My sister and I had so much fun. We would act it out. Because we had these really, they seemed like really tall stools. They were probably just normal stools. But as a kid, they seemed super tall. So like we would be riding the stools like we were riding horses. Like I really distinctly remember this. Which is super rare. I don't have a lot of childhood memories that stick out. I think maybe it's just a trauma response. But my memory has blocked out the vast majority of my childhood. But I do remember that. I do remember playing that with my sister. Yeah, we would act things out to Mamma Gamma, and we really liked Psychobabble. Psychobabble, oh Psychobabble. Tell you about a dream that I have every night. Oh man, takes me back. After midnight, no problem. Thank you for being here, Kelly. I'm probably going to be finishing up pretty soon, because I've been here almost 3 hours now. And I said I just wanted to finish this thread, and we're almost there. We're almost there. There's not too much thread left at this point. Probably got one more line out of it. But thank you so much for chilling. I hope you managed to make some progress on your knitting. If you would like, and this is completely optional, but I am totally curious about your project. If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, tag me with a picture of your project, because I really want to see all those colors that you were using for your yarn. It sounded like a really pretty color combo. So if you're still there and you happen to see this, give me a tag. Again, my handle is the same on both of those platforms. It's WizardWayChris with a K. I'm like, tag me, show me your stuff. If you even have those platforms. I keep forgetting. Not everybody is on every platform like me. Alright, it was 2 beyond. Oh no, I had a knot back there. That was like 2 rows ago. Oops. You can see it though. You can see it. Dang it. I'll probably pull the knot and try and stitch it up. I hate it when I do that. That's okay. I can stitch it back into what I'm currently doing. It'll be fine. Yeah, we're getting to the point where I'm gonna have to skew off and start getting those little straggler stitches off the side, too. So that's probably something I'll take care of off of stream. Once I get a new thread going. Gosh, I can feel that knot with my fingers now. I'm so hyper aware of it now. Like you do. Okay, let's try there. Perfect. Okay. So this is something I tend to do when I have knots. I try to go back and work out the knot because, and you know, barring that, if I can't, which it doesn't look like this one wants to come free at all. The point is to try to get the knot out, and if I can't, I at least loop through it and I stitch it down. I want it to be stitched down enough that if that knot were to come loose, it won't pull through to the other side and make a baggy stitch, for lack of a better term. Okay, I can't get the knot undone, so we're just going to stitch this. But I'm not sure if you can see this because my camera's so poor. But I've looped it through here and then pulled it taut so that it's going to be flat against where I'm stitching. So I continue stitching like normal, but it pulls that knot flat and stitches it down next to the rest of the pattern. So just in case when I'm washing off my guidelines and stuff, if that comes loose, it's not going to mess up the pattern on the front. I have a sneeze coming. I can feel it tingling. There we go. Don't make fun of my sneeze sounds. I learned to swallow back my sneezes when I was a massage therapist. And I learned to disguise my coughs as sneezes, because nobody reacts well to a massage therapist coughing near them. But if it's a sneeze, everyone's like, oh, that was involuntary, no problem. No problem. There's not the connotation of, oh my god, are they sick? So I learned long ago to morph my coughs into what sound like sneezes. It's a very strange and specific skill. Alright, finished that line. What's next? Next one is all the way straight out. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Because pretty sure I don't have the thread for it. But we'll at least get started on this. Maybe I'll just do like the first 10 stitches or so. So I know I have the thread for that. But this is where we're going to skew off and do some outliers as well. So doing a partial line here will mean that I will have a brand new thread to start on a space that's going to have a lot of jumps. So yeah, we'll do the first 10 here, and then we'll tie the string off and call it a night. And at that point, I should be at 3%, like the title advertised. Because we're at 2.98. So we're super close. And I haven't counted my last line of stitches. Yeah, we'll just do the 10. This has been a lot of fun, super relaxing to just sit down for a few hours, chat. That's what these are for. They're called Stitch and Bitch for a reason, right? Nothing too heavy. Talk some Lord of the Rings. But I mean, when am I not talking about Lord of the Rings? Who am I kidding? I'm always talking about Lord of the Rings. It's practically my job at this point. Now, if only I could get paid more. Alright, 2 more stitches. Uno más. Perfecto. Alright, we're gonna tie this off, call it a night. Awesome. Just gonna tuck my needle down here. It has sort of a designated spot where I always put it. But there we go. So that is the progress that has been made. Good chunk right here. Alright, let's count our stitches and see how far we got. Yes! 3.01%. Total of 355 stitches today. Excellent. Excellent. I'm feeling good about that. We got up to 3%. Booyah. That was the goal. That was indeed the goal. This is going to take me so many days to do. Like, so a ridiculous number of days to do. But I will work on these sort of outliers that we have coming up on the far right. So that'll be probably my off-stream goal, would be to get all those stragglers on the far right done. And maybe the bits at the top too. Things that take a bit more brain power to count out. But again, these guidelines work wonders. Having these 10 by 10 lines has been the smartest thing I've ever done. Oh, thank you so much, Lane Person. Thank you. Progress. And gosh, that was three threads. So one chunk. We did one pull of thread, so which is 6 lengths of this. Still a lot to go. This is one of the most heavily used colors in this pattern. The Q's and the letter O's, which are the 2 colors that you can see, really. These 2. One of them is a more grayish blue, and one of them is more of like a light sky blue. So once again, we will exit out. I just want to show you guys the mock-up. So here is what we are working on. Really beautiful piece. Things are going to get a heck of a lot more complex when we get further up the piece. But this area down here is what we were working on. You can see it almost looks more teal in this area, but you can see it's more down here. That's what we're working on. So this is the first of what will probably be many, but that's what I'm working on, and I'm really excited to be one step closer. One step closer. 3%. 3% done. And honestly, like, that's 3%. That's how many stitches total? How many stitches in are we now? We are a total of 3,220. So that's 3,220 stitches. And that's 3%. 3%. Basically every 1,000 stitches or so is going to be 1%. But good lord. That's so much. 3%. So as you can see, there's a lot more. This is the halfway line going up to the top. So it is a huge pattern. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope everybody has enjoyed me messing with my cross stitch today. There will definitely be more of this coming. More will be coming. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to call it quits for the night. But take care. If you'd like to see me stream again, I will be doing more of these craft streams just whenever I'm feeling up to it, but I also do Elvish ASMR streams, which are primarily me humming and singing and whispering at you in Elvish. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, feel free to tune into those. They will be marked, so if you subscribe and do the bell and all that jazz, the notification will clearly state if it is an ASMR stream or not. Good night, Lane Person. Thank you so much for sticking with me this whole time. But we will definitely do more of these streams. There's more Elvish ASMR coming up, and then the stream on Saturday morning / early afternoon is going to be another reading stream. I still need to decide what we're going to be reading. It will definitely be Tolkien, but we might move into the Lays of Beleriand, or we might move into the Lord of the Rings. So, not sure quite yet which direction I want to go. I feel like reading the Lord of the Rings would probably be a good idea. It'll take a while, it's a very large book. But having covered the Silmarillion, I feel like reading the Lord of the Rings would be a good choice. Or perhaps one of the more extended versions of the stories that are inside the Silmarillion. So the Fall of Gondolin, the Children of Húrin, or maybe Beren and Luthien. Probably Children of Húrin or Fall of Gondolin, though. I think those two are really... Not only are they nice stories, but there's a lot of detail that is missed when you read just the version in the Silmarillion, so there's a lot to cover there. Les Beleriand is just if I'm feeling in a poetic mood. We will read some of Tolkien's poetry, which I very much enjoy. So, I hope everybody enjoyed the craft stream. I will see you guys next time. See you on Saturday. Peace out, everybody. Love you guys. Bye for now.